Badass Attitudes, licensed here, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The bus to Badassville is scheduled to come here for you. Pack your stuff. Turn up your energy with Wednesday Wisdom. Here again is Kelly Orchard.
That's right. It is time to pack your stuff. I always like to say to check your baggage when you're ready to hop on the bus to Badassville. Hey, everybody. Kelly Orchard, the Badass Certifier. Happy to be with you on this Wednesday Wisdom. You know, the whole month of July is Heart Lessons Month for me, but we're also covering the second S in Badass, which means successfully badass or successful badassery, however you like to do it. I find that a lot of people like the word badassery. Don't know if I made it up, but I'm definitely sort of coining it now. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today is, workplace well-being. I've got some articles that I've found for you regarding emotional intelligence, and not a lot of people know exactly what that means. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today, and then your success mindset, taking charge of your mental health. And I've got another excerpt from my book, Heart Lessons. Therapists and counselors are definitely in short supply right now. So you need a badass plan right now. And I'll tell you a little bit more about my digital, online, self-paced, home accessible, licensed to be badass program. It's very therapeutic. It's not therapy, but it's therapeutic. So I'll tell you about that in a little bit. But certifying badasses one podcast at a time is what I'm doing. And Wednesday Wisdom is all about skills and drills for certified badasses. It's like I give you tools to rediscover who you are, and then give you something to improve your self-knowledge. Talk about defining moments in your life and your learning style, and then, deciding how you wish to grow, because it is all up to you. So today I want you to kind of rediscover who you are. And let's talk a little bit about what emotional intelligence is. And I'm going to just kind of share some information to you from a couple of articles. One from some things that I follow, Psych Central, and then the other is from Daniel Goleman, who is basically the founder of emotional intelligence. Basically, humans are social animals. We're wired for connection. So the more we can build positive relationships and develop cooperative connections, the more enriching our lives may be. Unsurprisingly, though, research has shown that there's a correlation between higher EQ, emotional quotient, and happiness. Like IQ is your intelligence quotient, the EQ is your emotional quotient. But even that when it gets going tough, the EQ can help us with that too. In academic settings, students who demonstrate high emotional intelligence, especially in the areas of emotional regulation and empathy, may be less likely to experience bullying, according to research. All right, work is another example. Research in 2013 suggests that well-developed emotional intelligence can help you achieve goals of your organization and increase your job satisfaction, in part because of positive relationships fostered in the workplace. So that's some of the things. Like I said, I'm going to be quoting and paraphrasing from some articles. I'll put the links to the articles in the show notes. But emotional intelligence is one of the therapeutic tools that I employ both in my Badass certification class and in my License to be Badass program. So basically, going with a model from Daniel Goleman, emotional intelligence, EQ, by other names. There's a board of EI, that makes a common area that coaches are asked to help leaders improve upon. Okay, so the model goes like this. Self-awareness is one of the key components to emotional intelligence. And I talk about that. That's the second A in Badass, is awareness. It's being aware of your own emotions, being aware of really what's going on around you, and being aware of, of all these other components that are going on. The ability to know and own your emotions and their effects on your performance at work. All right, another key component of having emotional intelligence is your ability to self-regulate. That's right, the ability to keep your disruptive emotions and impulses in check in order to maintain your effectiveness under stressful or even hostile conditions. Oh, that's a big one right there. How many people have you known that have just gone off on you, or you've gone off on them in a work situation that may not really have anything to do with them? That's what we call, that's like a knee-jerk reaction, and the ability to self-regulate. So emotional intelligence is part of that. You can adapt to your circumstances. Positivity is another one. I practice positive psychology just about everywhere I go, and that's what I refer to as flipping the format on your negative thoughts. So, in emotional intelligence, positivity is the ability to see the best in people, the situations, and events, so you can be persistent in pursuing goals despite the setbacks and the obstacles. Another element of emotional intelligence is achieve, which means that you strive to meet or exceed a standard of excellence by embracing challenges, taking calculated risks, and looking for ways to do things better. This is something I've always done. However, I don't think that I always knew that was part of being emotionally intelligent. But I do recall a time when the family had the radio station, and we were struggling with some competition and some changes going on in the market, and it was difficult to kind of embrace those challenges in a positive way. However, we always did take calculated risks, that's for sure, and had a lot of fun doing it. Sometimes those risks are super important. Another part of emotional intelligence is adaptability, which means that you can stay focused on your goals, easily adjust to how you get there. Remember, that's also the second S in B.A.D.A.S.S or the first S is steadfastly stay the course. You remain flexible in the face of change, and you can juggle multiple demands and are open to new situations, ideas, and innovative approaches. What I find about being adaptable and flexible is I also love to learn about what other people are doing or up to, or what kind of projects they've got working on. So this is regular in a personal life or professional. It's very transferable skills is to be adaptable, because what I have learned is I'm also a connector, and when you have this emotional intelligence and you start to develop it, you have this information of knowledge because you're paying so much attention to what other people are up to or going through or need. And then when you are being flexible with a challenge or juggling multiple demands, you may find other solutions that you can connect two of them together. And that is so very cool, and it gives you a new sense of purpose. Another key component and element of emotional intelligence is empathy, which means that you have the ability to sense others' feelings, and you have a desire to understand how they see things and take an active interest in their concerns. Why is that important? Well, in the business world, whether you're an office staff or you're the CEO of your company, being able to understand where somebody's coming from, especially when they're angry or upset, really helps you to understand and then come up with a better solution, rather than just, I don't know how many times I hear this over and over and over again. Why can't they just leave their personal problems at home and do their job? Okay, well, think about your situation at home and what's going on with you. Are you able to keep it all at home and not think about it all day long? I got news for you. It's like people carry their personal problems around on a backpack on their back. They're always there and always present. In the work situation, not necessarily we don't need to do therapy, but we can provide some resources and some opportunities, or even just a safe place where somebody can understand that they're going to be shown some empathy and some understanding about what's going on in their personal lives, as well as the challenges that they're experiencing at work. And then organizational awareness is also critical to emotional intelligence. That's the ability to read a group's emotional currents and power relationships, identifying influencers, networks, and dynamics that matter in decision making. Man, this is so important, especially you're in kind of some sort of a networking, or you need to develop relationships within your organization, whether you're a staff member or you're coming in from the outside. Maybe you have something that you want to sell them or present to them. Being aware of that group's emotional currents. I do a lot of this in, therapeutic support groups as well. Actually, I'm getting ready to start a grief class, and being aware of that group's emotional currents and relationships is going to be helpful with my awareness with them. So you see how that goes. It's like when you walk into any kind of group setting, whether it's your family, and you have to be aware and understand how each of the dynamics work. Another part of being emotionally intelligent and showing is influence. And that refers to the ability to have a positive impact on others and meaningfully engage people in order to get a buy-in and gain their support. You have to, these are all emotional intelligence. And so if you don't have this kind of influence and you're not able to make a positive impact on others, perhaps you need to start rethinking your approach. Being emotionally intelligent also means that you have the ability to coach. That's, to further the learning and development of others by understanding their goals, challenging them, giving them timely feedback, and offering them support. This can go for parenting. It could be as in teaching or even in your business environment. And heck, if you're in sales or you're in any kind of leadership capacity, you are a coach and you need to practice some emotional intelligence. I've also seen so many people get that job as supervisor or manager, but they don't have any leadership skills yet that they've developed. And so then you're already a little bit behind the eight ball. This is part of the emotional intelligence, is understanding that everybody is a human being. We're all trying to work together as a unit. And emotional intelligence is going to really help you make all the difference in the world. You also have the ability to inspire and bring your best and motivate others around you with that shared mission or purpose in order to get the job done. And then the ability to create an environment of teamwork where others share toward a goal, a shared goal. You build that spirit and positive relationships, encourage active participation, and share responsibility and rewards among the members of the group. That's what my B.A.D.A.S.S certification class does. It really creates a team environment. It's one of the things I love to do best, is the coaching and the teamwork and the influence. And then in emotional intelligence, you have the ability to conflict management, to manage the conflict in your environment, to work through the tense or highly charged situations by tactfully bringing disagreements into the open, seeking to understand multiple perspectives, and searching for common ground in order to find solutions that people can agree upon. If you want to know more about emotional intelligence, like I said, I'm going to put the links to both of these articles that I have quoted or paraphrased in the show notes, but basically it's psychcentral.com and Daniel Goldberg. So I love these resources on emotional intelligence. But that's part of the rediscovering who you are. When you understand how you are reacting in a stressful situation, that's why I like to utilize positive psychology and heart math, utilizing music to help teach to calm you down, and neuroscience, that you can rewire your brain, and then of course emotional intelligence. I just kind of combine all of these elements. There really is nothing new out there, but what I do is I've created all of these, put them together to create the B.A.D.A.S.S program, licensed to be badass. That you can improve your skills and your knowledge and the defining moments, and then concentrate on what's your learning style. What's the best way that you learn? And I teach this in segment 1 of the B in the B.A.D.A.S.S program, Be Yourself. Okay, now I want to share with you one last excerpt from Heart Lessons as we started to round down the month. And I've only been giving you a little bit here and there. You can still get Heart Lessons free. Just that link too is also in these show notes on the podcast, and the link is right there for you just to get the PDF. But this is Heart Lessons month for me. 15 years ago is when this journey began for me, and that's why I give it away on the anniversary every July. It was 4th of July weekend that I was struck down with heart failure 15 years ago, and that's what sent me on this entirely new journey to becoming a licensed psychotherapist and a coach, and creating this B.A.D.A.S.S program for you. So I do combine a lot of my radio skills and knowledge and my love and my passion with my love. I used to create promotions and events for the radio stations and have fun, and I had a dance team, and so I've kind of combined everything I love to do to make a really fun and engaging program for you while you're improving your mindset and rewiring your brain for positivity. Journaling has always been a huge part of my life. I started journaling at age 15, but I was actually starting to write poems at 13. So a lot of my schooling, I was always geared towards creative writing processes and therapeutic processes. So I'm sharing the story of Heart Lessons with you because it was sort of easy for me to write, because during the entire time I was going through the crisis, I was journaling about it. So here we go. This is something I want to share with you. It's from my heart to yours. It's the very last chapter in the Heart Lessons book. So basically, I spent my life feeling like I'd been called to share a story, but I didn't really know what the story was that I had to share. I didn't grow up orphaned or abused. I didn't have a sad childhood. I didn't ruin my family with alcohol and or addiction. I did know that I wanted to be an author, speaker, and a coach. I've always known that, but had really assumed that the opportunity had passed me by, or that my story wasn't going to matter because I hadn't really accomplished anything remarkable. But when I was struck down with this heart crisis that derailed my life, I began to learn that everybody has a story. I learned compassion, empathy, and understanding, and I learned more about myself through the process. My heart crisis was the best, worst thing that ever happened to me, and I hope that by sharing my intimate thoughts and emotions, it touches your life and helps you on your journey. Remember the underlying theme of Dorothy and her friends, the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion? They were all seeking something that they felt they needed. A home for Dorothy, a brain for Scarecrow, a heart for Tin Man, and courage for Lion. The best part of seeking their heart's desire was the journey. They had to make decisions when they came to a part in the path that made them switch directions. They became close friends who helped one another. They surrendered the fight when it was necessary. They experienced signs of grief and loss with anger, bargaining, denial, depression, and acceptance. They listened to what was really important. They disciplined themselves to see it through, and they were patient with themselves and others along the way. And how did everything turn out? They learned that it was the journey that was most important of all, because what they were seeking, they actually had with them all along. The story of Dorothy and her journey isn't the one I wrote, but it is one I'm living. So now let's get on to skills and drills for certified badasses. So how do you wish to grow? So it's summertime, and, I'd like to keep myself exercising and physical, the mind, body, spirit. When I was in the midst of my heart crisis, I was already in decent shape, but obviously I wasn't permitted anymore to exercise, nor did I have the physical ability to exercise, and the medications and maybe comfort foods and whatever else caused me to put on almost 50 pounds. And it's been a struggle to get that weight off ever since. And so I tried different forms of exercise. Walking is really great, but dance has always been my favorite. Well, during COVID, we can't really go take dance classes or anything like that. And now things are just starting to come back, but I've already gotten myself into my own little habit. Music really speaks to you when you allow it to. And I have these little after hours dance parties under the stars. I'm not doing any kind of weird, chanting or ritualistic dancing. That's not what I'm talking about. But the weather is decent in the evenings. And, I've shared with you that I've got my parents now living with me. And so, once they go to bed, it's the cool air, and I love music, and I can just kind of go outside and do my thing. And I have a nice little backyard patio away from the house. It's kind of shaded and secluded a little bit. And, the second A in badass is for successful badassery, and having balance is super important. I always hear about these boot camp workouts or these boot camp trainings or things like that. And I guess those are really good to get you up and running. But I've always experienced that I already have a full life and I like to keep it balanced. So these boot camp things aren't really something that works for me personally, because a lot of these things I already know I know that I need to do them. And so I don't need a boot camp to get me started. The reason I bring that up is that because I know how to I've learned it's a process, people. It's not, hey, I'm better than you. No, maybe I'm just a little bit further down the track than you, because one of the things that I've learned that's super important is to maintain some sort of a fun, even if you're not going out. So this one came up for me is I go out in the backyard and I have my own little after hours dance party under the stars, and it works for me because music speaks to me. So lately I've started a little dance party with Jim Croce, Bad Leroy Brown. I know. You're like, what? Why? Because that song conjures up memories of all the years that I took tap dance class lessons. Yes, I say that I'm a dancer, but I don't really ever share that. It started out as tap dancer at Parks and Recreation. And then I moved on to a regular studio and I danced from the time I was 3 or 4 until I was 14. And then I took a break for a couple of years to focus on cheerleading. And then I went back to dance at 18 and learned more significant ballet, but tap dancing. So Jim Croce's Bad Bad Leroy Brown was one of the numbers that I tap danced to years and years ago when I was a kid. I still own the costume from that dance number that was choreographed to that song. It was a solo dance class, so that means I was by myself. There was no other dancers with me, so it wasn't a class. And so I still have that costume, and the reason why I bring it up is, it's like my granddaughters play dress up, and sometimes they put that costume on. And once again, I'll go back. I wore that when I was your age. It's not even just my daughters now. They played with my dance costumes, but now my granddaughters are. And so that particular costume, that song conjures up memories of some of my favorite times when I was a kid. It makes me smile. It recalls my youth and my passion, and how it felt to just dance, to perform what I was born to do. It's happy, warm memories that also conjure up things about my brother Brad, who's no longer with us, but I used to drive around in his car with him, and he had Jim Croce soundtrack in his car. Music can really shift your mindset and your mood. So while you're improving your ability to cope and function with stress, not everyone needs psychiatric medication to feel better. Music can really help. There's really no magic drug, except music definitely impacts your brain and how it functions. If you've missed any of the previous episodes of Wednesday Wisdom, I really encourage you to download and give them a listen. I've been taking you through the process for the past few months, and it's never too late to catch up with the bus. It really isn't. My goal is to provide fresh content and authentic help in a fun and creative way. So thanks for joining me today. This month of July, Wednesday Wisdom has been focusing on the second S in BADASS acronym, which means successful badassery. I'm also giving my book away, Heart Lessons, all month long. It's free. All you got to do is go on the link and get the download of the PDF. And also, we're talking about well-being in the workplace. Now that everybody's kind of going back to work, it's really important. We're going to have a mental health mindset challenge soon, but you've got to take charge of your mental health. You absolutely do. And if you have people that you work with or that you want to work with, maybe you can share this podcast with them. That would be awesome. Therapists and counselors are definitely in short supply. You need a badass plan right now. Maybe it's not therapy. Are you ready to get licensed to be badass? I have pulled together different psychotherapy methods from cognitive behavioral therapy practices, solution-focused, narrative therapy, and strategic methods to build you a toolbox that'll help you identify your strengths to grow your confidence, identify your goals, and cultivate positive methods to get there. I help you weed out what's not working in your life so you can fertilize and grow what is working, and then prune back old behaviors and unrealistic expectations to make way for success. I help you plant new seeds of personal and professional growth and create an action plan for success and focus on what's important right now so that you can live intentionally, live your true purpose and passion, gain clarity, competence, and new skills, and achieve the ultimate goal. Remember that BADASS is an acronym, and the License to be Badass program provides you with videos and worksheets that take you through each course. Start with Heart Lessons and the Badass Habits ebook. Both are free this month, and I'll give you a License to be Badass sticker also. Have a great Wednesday Wisdom, and I'll see you on Fruitful Friday. I'm Kelly Orchard, the Badass Certifier, and here's Bobby.
Grab your Badass Habits ebook. Get started on your badass journey. Go to licensed2bebadass.com. Friday again, we turn up the energy. Tune in and tune up. Be bold, be brave, be confident, be badass.